Part 25. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 241. Faced with an almost certain defeat, Li Ju and Guo Si had no choice but to turn to Jia Su for help. Jia Su was one of the top 5 super counselors during the Three Kingdoms period at the end of the Han Dynasty. Although he is not as famous as Zhuge and Sima Yi because of his consistent low profile, he is definitely not inferior to the two in terms of planning. And what Jia Su is best at is finding a way out for himself. Perhaps because of his own personality, Jia Su has always been very cautious. Whenever there is a big event, he thinks about victory before failure. Therefore, he can always think of various situations in advance and find the safest solution in advance. And his grasp of people's hearts is absolutely top-notch in the world. It was under Jia Su's planning that Li Ju and Guo Bang went from defeated generals like lost dogs to princes who controlled Sizhou and enjoyed wealth and honor. Therefore, both Li Ju and Guo Si regarded Jia Su as their chief think tank and were convinced of him. With the absolute respect of Li Ju and Guo Si, Jia Su's status in Luoyang is also very high. Therefore, Yuan Shao, Lu Buletin and Ma Teng, all the news of the attack on Sizhou had already reached his ears. In order to save his life, Jia Su had already thought of a countermeasure, so when Li Ju and Guo Si came to him to ask for advice, Jia Su almost blurted out, "Abandon Salai and go south to Jingzhou." Regarding Jia Su's proposal, Li Ju and Guo Si were not capable enough to figure out the reasons. However, out of admiration and trust in Jia Su's decision, the two of them did not ask the reason, and directly led the army to leave Sizhou and march towards Jingzhou. Without the resistance of Li Ju and Guo Si, Yuan Shao and other 3 princes almost occupied the entire Salai prefecture unimpeded. Among them, Lu Buletin occupied Hedong County and Fenji on the left, Ma Teng occupied Fufeng and Jingzhiyin on the right, and Yuan Shao occupied Hanoi County and Hungnong County. As Li Ju and Guo Si had predicted, the 3 princes divided Salai prefecture. While Yuan Shao, Lu Buletin and Ma Teng were making great progress, 11's He personally came to Jingzhou to lobby in order to get Lu Biao to form an alliance with Cao to attack Sun Jian. Lu Biao had heard about 11's He's name for a long time, so when the guard informed him that 11's He was seeking an audience, Lu Biao was very surprised. However, although he was surprised, since Lu Biao was a prince and 11's He was Cao's envoy, it was naturally impossible for him to miss him. So 11's He entered the prefecture Mu's mansion, looked at Lu Biao who was sitting high up, bowed and said, "I am 11's He from Yingchuan. My lord, Cao has come to pay homage to Lu Jingzhou and give a great gift to Lord Prefecture Mu." Lu Biao narrowed his eyes and looked at 11's He, and then said, "Lu has heard of 11's He for a long time. It is said that Mr. 11 is a great talent in the world and has great strategies. It was under Mr. 11's plan that Cao men attacked. We have traveled to most areas of Qingzhou and Yanzhou. But today, Mr. Lu came to Jingzhou and said he would give Mr. Lu a big gift, but Mr. X seemed to come empty-handed. I wonder where the gift is." 11's He laughed. Then he said, "I don't dare to be a great talent, it's just a false name. As for Lord Zhou Mu saying that my lord controlled Qingzhou and Yanzhou under 11's plan, 11 doesn't even dare to be a great talent. Mr. Cao is a great talent, and Wen Tao's martial arts are among the best in the world. I only made some suggestions to capture Qing and Yanzhou, which are not enough. Even without me, Cao Gong captured Qing and Yanzhou very easily. As for dedication, Lord Zhou Mu's great gift is not in my hands now. If Lord Zhou Mu really wants this gift, I will definitely point out the method for you, but I still need some effort from you." After 11G finished speaking, Lu Biao lowered his head and pondered, but Cai Hao shouted, "How presumptuous! As a shepherd of Jingzhou and a clan member of the Han dynasty, my lord has never seen anything. If you want to give a gift, just give it out. But you still miss my lord, go find it yourself, is it possible that we in Jingzhou are lacking this small gift from you and have to help you? After Cai Hao finished speaking, Lu Biao still did not speak, but looked at 11's He. 11G then knew that what Cai Mao said was probably what Lu Biao thought. However, as the governor of a state, he was embarrassed to say so, so he said it through Cai Mao's mouth. Then 11's He smiled and said, if Sir Zhou doesn't want this great gift, of course I won't say anything. But if he does want it, he really has to help me. And according to my guess, Lord Zhou should be asking for it. After 11G finished speaking, Lu Biao finally couldn't help it anymore and took the initiative to ask what exactly is what Sir said. Please stop being pretentious. When 11G saw that Lu Biao was no longer tensed, he answered confidently. This great gift is, Sun Jian Euro trademark S head on his neck. Ah! Everyone present was shocked when they heard 11's He's words. The hatred between Sun Jian and Lu Biao had already reached an unending state. Sun Jian wanted to kill Lu Biao to avenge Xiu Mao, and Lu Biao also wanted to kill Sun Jian to take back the imperial seal. So after hearing what 11's He said, Cai Mao first said, 11's He, our Lord respects you as a famous person in the world and gives you face, but we don't care. Sun Jian is known as the Tiger of Jiangdong. We have fought with him several times, and we have long known that he is brave and very invincible. Do you think that with just such a light word of yours, you can take out Sun Jian's head and offer it to my lord? If you don't tell me how to kill Sun Jian today, even if my lord is willing to let you go, the soldiers under Cai Mao will not be able to endure your deception of my lord. Lu Biao obviously didn't believe that 11's He had the means to kill Sun Jian, so he also said Mr. 11 may not know that although Sun Jian is a bit reckless, his ability to lead troops in battle is indeed not bad. If I, Lu, had not taken advantage of the geographical advantage, I might not be able to defeat him. Since the gentleman said that there is a way to remove his head, he must have some good ideas. Please tell us and let us all analyze whether it is feasible. 11's He had already mastered the art, so he naturally wouldn't have stage fright. So he said, to be honest, my lord has long wanted to go south to Yangzhou. However, Yangzhou was occupied by Sun Jian. If we fought on land, our lord would naturally not be afraid of Sun Jian. However, there were many floods in Yangzhou, and our army knew that it was no match for the Jiangdong Navy in the water battle. The only one in the world that can compete with Sun Jian's Jiangdong Navy is your Jingzhou Navy. However, the reason why your excellency cannot defeat Sun Jian is because he is no match for Sun Jian in a land battle. In this case, why don't our Cao and Lu families learn from each other's strengths and form an alliance to attack Sun Jian? If our army were to contain Sun Jian's army, and Lord Zhou came to deal with Sun Jian's navy, Sun Jian would not be able to escape death. By then, a Euro trademark T his head be in the master a Euro trademark S pocket. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 242. After hearing 11's He's words, Lu Biao immediately felt that this plan was feasible. However, he still said, even if someone Lu and Cao men team up to get rid of Sun Jian, what good will it do to me? Now Sun Jian has ceased war with Jingzhou. Although there are conflicts between us, for both parties at this time, are all good opportunities to recuperate. If Cao Mend is eager to attack Yangzhou, he can naturally lead his army south, why bother to pull in Jingzhou? Listening to Lu Biao's tone, 11's He obviously agreed with his own statement, but still wanted to you have to take care of yourself and see if you can get more benefits. However, since joining forces to defeat Sun Jian is the common expectation of both parties, even if neither side provides additional benefits to the other, as long as Sun Jian can be killed, the alliance will still be profitable. Therefore, 11's He is not worried that Lu Biao will not agree, so he will not deliberately try to please Lu Biao to promote an alliance. Therefore, 11's He just said calmly Sun Jian has a grudge against Lu Jingzhou, and it is a sworn feud, which is completely impossible to resolve. Therefore, although Sun Jian did not start a war with Jingzhou for the time being due to the initial decision of Yangzhou, but once the situation in Jiangdong is stabilized, Sun Jian will inevitably lead an army to attack Jingzhou. When Jingzhou is passively attacked, it will inevitably suffer heavy losses. Instead of this, why not Lu Jingzhou take the lead and attack Sun Jian while Sun Jian's foothold is not stable, and everything will be destroyed. The threat is nipped in the cradle. Lu Biao was already in favor of the idea of a Euro uniting with CAO to attack Sun Jian, but at this time 11's He explained the pros and cons to him, and Lu Biao was already completely inclined to agree with 11's He's idea proposed. But he was still not sure, so he looked at Kuai Liang, the first person sitting on his right. Kuai Liang was not only a famous scholar in Jingzhou, but also Lu Biao's #1 advisor. Lu Biao relied heavily on him and was accustomed to asking him for advice when everything was done. When 11's He said there was a way to kill Sun Jian, Kuai Liang had already guessed that his way must be to form an alliance between the two armies. Therefore, Kuai Liang had enough time to consider the feasibility of an alliance. At this time, seeing Lu Biao looking at him with questioning eyes, Kuai Liang nodded calmly. Lu Biao saw that Kuai Liang also agreed with 11's He's plan, so he said no more and said directly Mr. 11's plan is indeed very likely to succeed. In this case, please ask Mr. 11 to tell Duke Cao after he returns. It is said that Lu has agreed to form an alliance and will soon order Huangziu, the governor of Jiangxia, to send troops to Yangzhou to attack Sun Jian. After Sun Jian is beheaded and Yangzhou is captured, Lu will invite Duke Cao to Jingzhou as a guest to have a drink and talk. The scene where Lu Sheng asked Kuai Liang for his opinion was very hidden, but 11's He still observed this detail very keenly. However, 11's He did not say anything, but replied to Lu Biao in this case, He would like to thank Lu Jingzhou on behalf of my lord. Don't worry, Lu Jingzhou, I will advise my lord to send troops to attack Yangzhou at the same time when he returns next time. Lu Biao said to Lu Biao. 11's He was naturally very happy with the promise and wanted to stay with 11's He for one night in Jingzhou and entertain him well. However, 11's He insisted on returning as soon as possible on the grounds that time was tight and he wanted to get rid of Sun Jian as soon as possible. Therefore, Lu Biao stopped trying to persuade him and asked Kuai Liang to help him see off his guests. Kuai Liang escorted 11's He all the way to the city gate, and was about to say goodbye to 11's He when 11's He said, "Thank you very much, Mr. Kuai, for your help." Kuai Liang was startled. He didn't expect that the communication between him and Lu Biao was so hidden. It was only discovered by 11G. So he cupped his hands and said, "Mr. 11, you don't have to be polite. Joining forces with Duke Cao is indeed a good way to get rid of Sun Jian. I'm just doing it for the good of my lord." After Kuai Liang finished speaking, the two of them bowed their hands to each other and left. Subsequently, Lu Biao immediately sent an order to Huangziu of Jiangxia, ordering him to lead his army to attack Yangzhou, and sent Kuai Liang to assist as a military advisor. Sun Jian was training his soldiers in Yangzhou to prepare for Cao's army. Suddenly he heard a scout reporting that Huangziu's army was heading east of the Yangtze River. Sun Jian was furious when he heard this. Unexpectedly, before Sun Jian went to seek revenge from Lu Biao rushed over to fight him. The more Sun Jian thought about it, the angrier he became, and he immediately decided to lead 50,000 naval troops to the Yangtze River to fight against Huangziu. Both Cheng Piyu and Huang Gai expressed opposition to Sun Jian's decision, fearing that Cao would also lead an army to attack Yangzhou when he was fighting Huangziu. If he was attacked on both sides, it would most likely lead to defeat. However, Sun Jian had been blinded by anger and was confident that Cao would not send troops immediately, and he was confident that he could kill Huangzhu's army before Cao sent troops. Seeing that their persuasion was ineffective, Cheng Piyu and others had no choice but to fight Huangzhou together with Sun Jian. The two armies were arrayed on the Yangtze River. Sun Jian saw Huangzhou from a distance, and his enemies were extremely jealous when they met. It was Huangzhou's sneak attack that day that led to Zhou Mao's death. Therefore, as soon as Sun Jian saw Huangzhou, he immediately ordered his army to charge. The Jiangdong Navy also felt Sun Jian's determination to win. Under Sun Jian's command, everyone used their full strength to row the warship very fast. Kuai Liang saw that Sun's army was as powerful as a rainbow and knew that it was impossible to defeat him, so he suggested that Huangzhou show weakness to the enemy and lure Sun Jian ashore to ambush him. Huangzhou knew that Kuai Liang was familiar with the art of war and was very capable of commanding on the battlefield, so he adopted his advice without hesitation. Ancestor Huang ordered the 2,000 soldiers on several warships to wait for a while before the two armies fought, then quietly retreat, return to the shore and ambush in the woods about 10 miles away from the Yangtze River. Then he sent an order to the rest of the Navy officers. After a while, they fought with the Jiangdong Navy. They were invincible. After fighting for a few rounds, they pretended to be defeated and ran away. Soon Sun Jian's navy met Huangzhou's army, and the two armies fought together. The two sides fought for about a quarter of an hour, and the Jiangxia army fled toward the shore in disordered formation under the impact of the Jiangdong Navy. At this time, scouts from the rear came to report that Cao led his army to attack from the lower reaches of Suzhou. Upon hearing this, Cheng Piyu and others immediately suggested that Sun Jian retreat to resist Cao. However, Sun Jian believed that Huangzhou had been defeated and should take the opportunity to kill Huangzhou first before resisting Cao. After Sun Jian finished speaking, he chased him all the way to the shore regardless of everyone's objections. After landing on the shore, Sun Jian took the lead again, leading hundreds of cavalry to pursue the Jiangxia army in the direction of escape. When they arrived at the forest where Huangzhou had sent people to ambush in advance, Sun Jian immediately felt that the situation was not right and was about to retreat. Huangzhou led the ambushed troops and came out. Facing hundreds of Sun Jian's cavalry, Huangzhou gave an order and thousands of arrows were fired. Sun Jian was unable to dodge and was shot to death by Huangzhou's archers. Sun Jian was killed in battle, and Cheng Puqiang endured his grief and led the remaining Jiangdong army back in defeat. At this time, Sun Jian's eldest son, Sun Ce, went north to attack Yuzhou on the advice of his friend Zhou Yu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 243. Sun Ce was only 13 years old at this time, and was deeply saddened after learning the news of Sun Jian's death. Although Sun Ce was still young at this time, he had already shown the potential of a first-class military commander. His marksmanship was unpredictable, and he could dance superbly with the overlord's spear in his hands. So even though he is young, Sun Jian often takes him into battle. Under Sun Jian's influence, Sun Ce gradually became as brave and staunch as Sun Jian. He liked to take the lead and rush to the front. However, Sun Jian led his army to block Huangzhou this time. Because it was a sudden attack, he did not have time to notify Sun Ce. When Sun Ce knew about it, Sun Jian had already led his troops and left. However, Sun Ce was not worried about Sun Jian going to fight Huangzhou alone. Because both Sun Jian and Sun Ce had fought against Huangzhou several times, Sun Ce knew that the combat effectiveness of Huangzhou's troops was not as good as Sun Jian's, so he never expected that Sun Jian would be defeated and killed this time. In fact, if there was only Huangzhou, then he would not be able to defeat Sun Jian no matter what. But after all, Huangzhou was no longer fighting against Sun Jian alone. He also had Kuai Liang, the #1 strategist under Jingzhou Liu Biao, in his army. Although Sun Jian was brave, he was no match for Kuai Liang in terms of strategy. Therefore, it is completely reasonable for Sun Jian to be defeated and die. It's just that Sun Ce didn't think of it. Therefore, when Sun Ce learned that his father was ambushed and killed, he seemed unbelievable, and was followed by grief. Later, Sun Ce, Huang Gai, Cheng Piyu and other Jiangdong soldiers buried Sun Jian in his hometown of Wu County, covered in plain clothes, wearing sackcloth and mourning. After Sun Jian was buried, Sun Ce still couldn't hide the grief in his heart, and immediately prepared to gather the Jiangdong army to attack Jiangxia. At this time, Sun Ce's close friend Zhou Yu, who was serving as the county magistrate in Luoyang, heard that Sun Jian had died and hurried to Wu County to express condolences to Sun Jian. Zhou Yu saw that Sun Ce had been dazzled by Sun Jian's death and lost his mind. He was ready to ignore Cao who was going south and directly attack Huangzhou with his army. He immediately rushed to stop Sun Ce. Zhou Yu said to Sun Ce, "Bofu can't be so reckless. I know you're sad, but this is not a good opportunity to avenge Wuchen Ho. Bofu can't be impulsive." Sun Ce had completely lost his mind at this time. How could he listen to Zhou Yu? He said to Zhou Yu, "Why did Gong Jin say this? Now that my father is dead, as the eldest son, if I ignore the revenge of killing my father, won't I be ridiculed by the world as an unfilial son? How can I still convince the public, and how can I repay? Can you stand in this world?" Seeing that Sun Ce had completely lost his mind, Zhou Yu continued to persuade. Didn't Bofu see that Cao's tens of thousands of troops had left Suzhou and were preparing to attack the counties of Yangzhou? If you only focus on killing Huangzhou, what will happen even if you defeat Huangzhou? When you come back, I am afraid that Cao has already captured the 6 counties of Yangzhou. At that time, how will the soldiers in Jiangdong survive? Sun Ce listened to Zhou Yu's words, as if a basin of cold water was poured over my head, and I woke up instantly. At this time, Cheng Piyu also said, "My lord, Mr. Zhou is right. Although the lord's revenge must be avenged, it is never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. The most important thing at hand is not the lord's revenge, but how to spend the time in front of him." Difficulties. Zhou Yu and Sun Ce are equals, and they have been close friends since childhood, so Sun Ce may refute Zhou Yu's words, but Sun Ce must carefully consider Cheng Piyu's words. Because Cheng Piyu was not only Sun Jian's general, but also the earliest old brother who followed Sun Jian to conquer the world. Like Huang Gai and Han Dang, he was Sun Ce's elder. So as soon as Cheng Piyu spoke, Sun Ce began to think seriously. Then he said to Zhou Yu, "Gong Jin's words were like a wake-up call to wake me up. If it weren't for Gong Jin's reminder, I would have almost missed the important event." Zhou Yu said Bofu's heart is with Marquis Wuchen, so he was confused. "This is not your fault, it's my fault." Having said this, Sun Ce said no more, but asked Zhou Yu, "I know that Gong Jin is the top counselor in the world, and I would like to ask Gong Jin to point out a way for me." Zhou Yu came to Wu Commandery. In addition to condolences to Sun Jian, the biggest purpose is to worry about Sun Ce and want to help him get back on his feet as soon as possible. So when Sun Ce asked Zhou Yu did not hesitate and blurted out, "Wuchen Hao has temporarily put aside his hatred and made peace with Lu Piao." However, at this time, Huangzhou suddenly sent troops to attack Yangzhou, and deliberately showed weakness to lure Wuchen Hao to enter. He was already ready. The ambush circle of Huangzhou was obviously premeditated. What is even more frightening is that as soon as Huangzhou fought against Wuchen Hao, Cao led an army to attack Yangzhou. The two sides must have discussed it long ago. In this way, Lu Biao and Cao must have joined forces. If so, Yangzhou will definitely not be able to defend it. Therefore, Bo Fu needs to withdraw from Yangzhou as soon as possible before the two coalition forces surround them and develop elsewhere. After hearing Zhou Yu's words, Sun Ce was frightened and hurriedly asked, withdrawing from Yangzhou, how is this possible? Yangzhou is the foundation that my father has just built with great effort, how can he give up so easily? Zhou Yu obviously knew that Sun Ce would react like this, so he told Sun Ce said Cao and Lu Biao have already formed an alliance. In a water battle, we may not be Huangziu's opponent. In a land battle, Cao has many generals, and our army will be defeated. In this case, if Bo Fu still defends Yangzhou, he will definitely defeat is inevitable. I know you have a hard time letting go of Yangzhou that Wuchenhao conquered, but the territory is dead and the people are alive. The tens of thousands of people in Jiangdong now are Wuchenhao Euro trademark's real hard work. As long as you can guarantee if your army is not wiped out, you must first find a suitable territory to develop your power, and one day you will come back to take revenge. After Zhou Yu finished speaking, Cheng Piyu, Huang Gai and others nodded in agreement. Seeing that the two veterans agreed with Zhou Yu's statement, Sun Ce asked Zhou Yu, in that case, please teach me Gongjin, in this huge world, where can I find a place for my Jiangdong army? Zhou Yu replied calmly. Cao occupied Suzhou and Lu Biao occupied Jingzhou. Apart from these two places, the only one bordering Yangzhou is Yezhou. It just so happens that the current Yezhou is weak and incompetent, and it is impossible to withstand the attack of Jiangdong's army. If he can, while Cao Jun and Lu Biao's troops were attacking Yangzhou and captured most of Yezhou, the Sun family still has a chance to make a comeback. So Sun Ce followed the plan proposed by Zhou Yu and led the direct troops of the Sun family to withdraw from Yangzhou and go north to attack Yezhou. Under Zhou Yu's plan, Sun Ce's army quickly captured Runan County without any effort and gained a foothold. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 244. While Sun Ce captured Runan County, Lu Feng also easily captured Qi State in Qingzhou. Because it was not difficult to attack Qi State, Lu Feng's army did not rest and went directly to the west to kill the next target, Jinan County. But unlike the previous easy victory with almost no resistance, Lu Feng's army encountered fierce resistance from the Qingzhou army. Lu Feng knew that Cao had withdrawn all his troops from Qingzhou, so he did not expect such strong resistance and was very surprised. However, as the battle progressed, he discovered that the enemy's coach's flag had a huge AEZ embroidered on it. Although Lu Feng did not know the prefect of Jinan County at this time, he knew that the prefect's surname was not Li, so Lu Feng called the scouts and asked them to go find out about the leader of the enemy army. Not long after, the scouts came back and reported that the person leading the army was not the prefect of Jinan County, but Cao's General Li Dian, who stayed in Qingzhou to block Lu Feng's march south. It turned out that Li Dian concentrated most of his troops in Jinan County, hoping to surprise King Bingjian and cause him maximum damage. After listening to the scouts' report, Lu Feng smiled lightly. It turned out to be Li Dian. No wonder Jinan County's resistance was so fierce. However, although Li Dian expected to rely on surprise attacks to inflict heavy losses on Lu Feng's army, the combat effectiveness of his army was not strong. Although the combat effectiveness of Li Dian's army is not much different from that of Lu Feng's 30,000 Yuzhu army, and the outcome is indeed unpredictable in a battle, the Yuzhu army is not Lu Feng's main force. Since Lu Feng was personally leading the attack on Qingzhou this time, his army of personal guards, the Red Blood Dragon Riders, were naturally indispensable. As the only 8th level unit in the world today, the combat effectiveness of the Red Blood Dragon Riders is far greater than that of Li Dian's Qingzhou army, and the strength of each Red Blood Dragon Rider warrior can equal 1 to 100. In addition to the Red Blood Dragon Riders, Lu Feng's army also included Taishasai and his 3,000 longbowmen. Although the longbowmen are an archer unit, as a 7th level unit, Li Dian's Qingzhou army cannot withstand even a hand-to-hand combat after encountering an ambush. Therefore, even though Li Dian tried his best to ambush all his troops outside Jinan County to attack Lu Feng's army, he still had no hope of winning in the face of absolute strength. With the excellent command of Tai Shisai and Lu Feng, as well as the red-blooded dragon cavalry and longbowmen who stabilized their position in time, the Qingzhou army's raid failed, and the Yuzhu army stopped panicking and began to fight Li Dian's army. Under the charge of the Crimson Blood Dragon riders, the Qingzhou army quickly fell into a passive position, and the soldiers of the Crimson Blood Dragon riders killed countless people with long swords. In desperation, Li Dian had no choice but to command the Qingzhou army to fight and retreat, and gradually retreated to Jinan County. So Lu Feng allocated 10,000 Yuzhu troops to Taishi Ci and ordered him to lead the longbowmen and 10,000 Yuzhu troops as a vanguard to attack Jinan County. In Jinan County, the vanguard army led by Taishi Ci fought fiercely with Li Dian's army. Taishi Ci's Yuzhu army plus longbowmen totaled only 13,000 people, while Li Dian had tens of thousands of Qingzhou soldiers. In terms of military strength, Taishi Ci's disadvantage was very obvious. But judging from the result of the battle, Taishi Ci had the advantage. The longbowmen showed their archery skills brilliantly and started firing thousands of arrows from 300 paces away. In order to ensure that the rain of arrows could hit the Qingzhou army uninterrupted, Taishi Ci ordered the 3,000 longbowmen to be divided into two groups. After one group finished shooting, they would stand in place and prepare for the next round of shooting. At the same time, the other group would go to the front to shoot. This can ensure uninterrupted shooting, and at the same time, the longbowmen are constantly moving forward. While the longbow soldiers were shooting, the 10,000 Yuzhu army also slowly rushed towards the Qingzhou army. Facing the longbowmen's fire, the Qingzhou army was helpless. The range of 300 steps far exceeded the limit of the Qingzhou archers, so they could only be beaten passively, but they had no ability to fight back. After several rounds of shooting, the Qingzhou soldiers had suffered numerous casualties, and their morale had dropped to the bottom. At this time, the Yuzhu army had already reached them. So the longbowmen stopped shooting, and Li Dian hurriedly commanded his army to fight, but he was unable to organize an effective formation in his haste. At the same time, Taishi Ci also came to the front and commanded the Yuzhu army to form a formation to kill the enemy. Taishi Ci was a talented general with both civil and military skills, and his ability to command troops was much better than that of Li Dian. Therefore, although the Yuzhu army was at a numerical disadvantage, he still defeated the Qingzhou army. Upon seeing this, Li Dian had no choice but to commit suicide to Taishi Ci himself in order to reverse the situation. Although Taishi Ci had followed Lu Feng for a long time, he almost only went to war when attacking foreign tribes and rarely fought against the princes of the Central Plains, so his reputation in the Central Plains was not prominent. When Li Dian saw that Taishi Ci was young, he wanted to kill him. However, Taishi Ci was outstanding in martial arts and had reached the pinnacle of a first-rate military commander after being transferred to the job transfer hall, while Li Dian was only a third-rate general and was far from Taishi Ci's opponent. The two sides fought for several rounds. Li Dian found that not only was he unable to defeat Taishi Ci, but he was also in danger of being killed if he continued to fight, so he had no choice but to leave. Under the command of Li Dian, the Qingzhou army retreated steadily, and in the end they could only defend Dongpingling city. Taishi Ci led the longbowmen and the Yuzhu army to follow Li Dian to the foot of Dongpingling city, preparing to attack the city. At this time, Lu Feng led his army to the city of Dongpingling. Seeing that the city gate was tightly closed and the defenders on the city were standing ready, Lu Feng believed that if he forced the city to attack, it would most likely cause great losses. So he walked out of the formation alone and came to the city to shout to Li Dian, hoping to persuade Li Dian to surrender. However, Li Dian was promoted from the army by CAO to the position where he could lead an army. Naturally, he was grateful to Cao and did not listen to Lu Feng at all. Upon seeing this, Lu Feng knew that Li Dian could not surrender, so he said no more. However, due to the absence of the dragon soldiers, the red-blooded dragon cavalry and longbowmen were not suitable for attacking the city, and the Yuzhu army would inevitably lose most of its troops when attacking the city, so he did not order the army to attack the city. Lu Feng was about to repeat the same trick. He relied on the heavy weight of the black jade spear in his hand, the impact of the warhorse black jade unicorn, and his own extraordinary strength. He used the black jade spear as a golden cudgel and smashed it hard above the city gate. As the city gate was blown into pieces by Lu Feng's blow, the Yuzhu army quickly entered the city. Seeing Lu Feng open the city gate with one move, Li Dian was so frightened that his vision split, but he still led the defenders to resist Lu Feng. However, Lu Feng's martial arts was 2 levels higher than Taishisi's, and he easily killed Li Dian with one shot. With Li Dian's death, not only did the war in Jinan County end easily, but other counties in Qingzhou were no longer able to resist, and the entire Qingzhou was in Lu Feng's hands. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 245. While Lu Feng beheaded Li Dian in Jinan County, Sun Ce also captured Runan County. Without the guards of Sun Jian and Sun Ce, Yangzhou was quickly defeated by the coalition forces of Cao and Lu Biao. According to the agreement between Cao and Lu Biao when they formed an alliance, Cao and Lu Biao divided the 6 counties of Yangzhou equally. Among them, Cao occupied the 3 counties of Wu, Danyang, and Kuiji, while Lu Biao controlled the 3 counties of Zhejiang, Luoyang, and Yuzhang. After Lu Feng captured Qingzhou, it was naturally impossible to continue sending troops to attack other places. The army needed to rest and regroup, and Lu Feng also needed to stabilize the regime in Qingzhou. After all, although Qingzhou is a relatively small state among the 13 states of the Han dynasty, it only has 2 counties and 65 counties in 4 countries. However, although the sparrow is small, it has all the internal organs. As a state, Qingzhou, like other states, has a complicated official network. Although at this time Cao had abandoned Qingzhou and moved to Suzhou and Yangzhou, and his direct officials and troops also moved away with him. However, after Cao's long-term rule, there must be many officials in Qingzhou. Although they are not direct descendants of Cao, they were inevitably promoted by Cao. In this case, they are likely to be grateful to Cao. Even if Cao retreats without taking them with him, they may still regard themselves as Cao's subordinates. So if Lu Feng and his army were in Qingzhou, these Qingzhou officials who were secretly loyal to Cao might be restrained, but once Lu Feng left, without the deterrence of the army, they would most likely rebel. Therefore, what Lu Feng has to do at this time is to temporarily stop the conquest of other states and counties, find out those who oppose Lu Feng in Qingzhou, and stabilize the power of Qingzhou. After having the goal and plan, Lu Feng stayed in Jinan County, and Taishi Ci led the Yuzhu army to complete the work. A few days later, Taishi Ci came to report that a scribe had been found in Dongpingling City, Jinan County. Although this man was in Qingzhou, he claimed to be one of Liu Bei's men. Taishi Ci saw that this man was very popular and spoke confidently and openly, so he believed what he said. However, since this person was not Cao's subordinate, but was under house arrest by Cao in Qingzhou, Taishi Ci didn't know how to deal with it, so he came to report Lu Feng. After listening to Taishi Ci's description, Lu Feng immediately thought of a person in his mind, so he decided to go to Dongpingling City to meet this person in person. So Taishi Ci naturally brought Lu Feng to this man's residence. In a rather luxurious house, Lu Feng met this scholar with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. This person was Su Shu, who was under house arrest in Qingzhou by Cao. Although Su Shu was resentful towards Cao and vowed to pretend to be crazy and act like a fool and never do anything else after surrendering to Cao, he had no grudge against Lu Feng. Not only did Su Shu have no grudge against Lu Feng, but he also had a good impression of Lu Feng because Lu Feng repeatedly killed foreigners and protected the people on the border. At this time, Lu Feng led the Yuzhu army to attack Qingzhou, and it was no longer a secret that Cao abandoned Qingzhou and went south to Yangzhou. And since Qingzhou has now completely fallen into Lu Feng's hands, the young man appearing in front of him surrounded by stars like the moon must be the famous side-by-side King Lu Feng. And he was put under house arrest by Cao in Qingzhou. He thought he would spend his whole life in the depression of resisting Cao and being unable to use his wisdom, but he never thought that he would have a chance to escape from Cao's control. And all of this was given by King Lu Feng. After confirming Lu Feng's identity, Su Shu stepped forward, bowed to God Lu Feng, and then said, "I am Su Shu of Yingchuan. I have heard about the name of King Bingjian for a long time. I am lucky enough to meet him today. I would like to ask King Bingjian for his advice." After Lu Feng heard Su Shu's words, he understood clearly and knew that his guess was correct. This person was indeed Su Shu, who had not said a word since entering Cao's camp. So he smiled and said, "It turns out that Mr. Su Shu is Su Yuanzi, whom I have admired for a long time. I have often heard Feng Xiao talk about Mr. Feng Xiao, saying that he is a genius in the world. When I saw him today, he was indeed an extraordinary person." Su Shu and Guojia were both from Yingchuan Academy students, and both of them came from poor families. They were relatively familiar with each other and had a good relationship. However, Guojia never mentioned Su Shu in front of Lu Feng. Lu Feng moved Guojia out at this time just to bring the relationship closer between the two. Sure enough, Su Shu heard Lu Feng's compliment and hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, please don't believe the false praise of being a filial piety. The talent of a common man is not enough to be a filial piety. Otherwise, Cao would not be under house arrest in Qingzhou and unable to escape." However, Cao couldn't escape. But he said, "I have already known why Sir was imprisoned by Cao. Speaking of which, it is not Sir's fault. It can only be that Cao was too insidious and cunning and used Su's mother as a threat. Even if Sir knew it was a trap, he had no choice but to do so. Jump in. But this is enough to prove your filial piety. Therefore, although you were caught by Cao, you won the respect of the world. In my opinion, you did not lose." Su Shu said with a wry smile, "Even so, and what can I do? After all, I was captured by Cao, and even betrayed my lord Liu Bei and was forced to join Cao's army. After all, I was a surrender, but Cao was driven to Suzhou by King Bingjian, but he did not surrender. Bringing a concubine with him means that the concubine is not trusted in his heart. In this big world, I am afraid there is no place for a concubine anymore." Lu Feng said, "I wonder what you think of Cao, sir. Are you willing to serve Cao? Su Shu," he said, "although I, Su Shu, was forced to surrender to Cao, I secretly swore that I would never conspire for Cao. I only have one lord in my heart, and that is Duke Su." And after listening to Su Shu's words, Lu Feng took the opportunity to ask, "In that case, then sir, you won a Euro trademark to blame me for driving Cao out of Qingzhou, right?" Su Shu was full of resentment towards Cao, and hurriedly said, "What are you saying, Your Majesty? You defeated Cao Euro trademark's thieves and rescued me from Cao Euro trademark's hands. How could I do this? Do I blame you?" Lu Feng laughed and said, "In that case, how are you going to repay me, sir? I wonder if you, sir, are willing to submit to me and end this troubled world with me." Su Shu heard Lu Feng's words. Invited, after thinking for a moment, he said to Lu Feng, the king's literary and military skills are unparalleled in the world, and like Suant Gong, he is a member of the Han dynasty. Moreover, the king was personally named the king of side by the late emperor. It is said that you are the closest to the orthodox vassal king, so I am willing to surrender to you. But I have a request. If the king agrees, I will definitely assist you with all my strength. Lu Feng said, as long as it does not violate loyalty, Yuan can speak. Su Shu, he replied, Xiandi Gong is the old master of the concubine. I hope that the king will not send the concubine to deal with Suant Gong. Lu Feng laughed and then said, Yuan is a true righteous man, so I naturally agree. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 246. Seeing that Lu Feng agreed to his request without hesitation, Su Shu said no more and immediately bowed. Your Majesty, Su Shu, pay homage to your lord. Lu Feng waited for Su Shu to finish speaking, immediately helped him up and said, Yuan, please come quickly. I am really lucky to have a great talent like you to help me. Su Shu said, My lord, you are ridiculous. My lord does not mind that I have served two masters and can still take in a concubine. You are the lucky one. Lu Feng listened to Su Shu's words and laughed again. Yuan, don't underestimate yourself. Although you have indeed served three lords including me, there was a reason for it, and Cao deceived you into his subordinates. And eat a Euro trademark s not your fault that you threatened your mother a Euro trademark s life. And even under Cao, you still remained loyal to Liu Bei. This is definitely an act of loyalty. Who else can say that you are disloyal? With Lu Feng's guidance, Su Shu put down the burden in his heart and devoted himself wholeheartedly to Lu Feng's command. After another 2 days of rest, Taishi Ci had found out all the officials who were still loyal to Cao and imprisoned them all. As for all the Qingzhou officials who remained neutral, Lu Feng secretly sent people to pay close attention to their every move while keeping their original official positions unchanged. 2 days later, the entire Qingzhou was completely under Lu Feng's control, and the situation stabilized. Subsequently, Lu Feng announced his appointment to Qingzhou. He appointed Taishi Ci as the shepherd of Qingzhou, taking full charge of the military and political power of Qingzhou. At the same time, Su Shu was appointed as King Hu's special commander. When war broke out, he was directly transferred to the accompanying military advisor to assist Taishi Ci in jointly governing Qingzhou and guarding against Suzhou and Yanzhou. Later, because Qingzhou was secured and the war in Jizhu reached a stalemate, Zhao Yun's army encountered tenacious resistance from Zhang He. So Lu Feng left Taishi Ci and Su Shu to guard Qingzhou. He took 3,000 red-blooded dragon cavalry north to Jizhu alone, and joined forces with Zhao Yun to encircle and suppress Zhang He's troops in Jizhu. As cavalry, the red-blood dragon riders have very strong maneuverability, and their war horses are top-notch sweat horses trained at the Goguryeo racecourse. They are fast, have strong endurance, and can travel thousands of miles a day. So after 2 days of rapid march, Lu Feng and 3,000 red-blooded dragon riders arrived in Jizhu and joined Zhao Yun's army. The arrival of Lu Feng greatly encouraged Zhao Yun's Beimayakong and the 50,000 Yuzhu army. The morale that had been gradually sluggish due to the long-term inability to attack was once again improved. At this time, Zhang He, who was staying in Jizhu, also learned from the scouts' reports that Lu Feng had captured the entire territory of Qingzhou and had joined Zhao Yun. Although Zhao Yun was distressed because he was blocked by Zhang He's army at the border between Yuzhu and Jizhu, Zhang also took great pains to resist Zhao Yun. The strength of the Jizhu army was not as good as that of the Yuzhu army, and Zhao Yun also had special forces like Beimayakong under him. In addition, Zhao Yun always focused on stability in his military use, and never gave Zhang He a chance to win a big victory. Moreover, Zhao Yun's own martial arts far surpassed Zhang He's, so Zhang He had exhausted all his energy to keep Zhao Yun out of Jizhu. And as the battle between the two sides continued, the superiority in capabilities of the Yuzhu army, especially Bama Yakong, became more and more obvious. Originally, Zhang He was able to resist Zhao Yun's attacks and often achieve some victories. In addition to his own understanding and skillful use of the art of war, it also relied on the strength of his troops. However, there will always be casualties in wars. As the number of battles between the two sides increased, the number of casualties also increased significantly because Zhang He's Jizhu army was in a weak combat effectiveness. Therefore, the number of capable warriors Zhang He can call upon continues to decrease, and the pressure to defend Zhao Yun increases. Even if Lu Feng didn't come, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. The battle between Zhao Yun and Zhang He was almost evenly matched. The two sides were victorious at first, but later one side suffered serious casualties, and the other side's morale was low and there was no intention to fight. It can be said that this is a war without a winner. But the appearance of Lu Feng changed the situation for both parties. Although Lu Feng only brought 3,000 cavalry for reinforcements, Lu Feng's personal prestige was enough to push the morale of the army to its peak. Although there were only 3,000 red blood dragon riders, their combat effectiveness would definitely not be worse than 30,000. The Jizhu army had already seen the powerful combat effectiveness of the red blood dragon riders, and Zhang He had personally witnessed Lu Feng's one-on-one battle with Lu Buletin in front of Hulao Pass. Therefore, neither Zhang He nor his Jizhu army had any chance of winning when they knew that Lu Feng had led the red blood dragon riders to the battlefield. Zhang He had no choice but to ask the judge, but the judge was helpless. In the face of absolute power, any conspiracy had no chance of success. Shen Pei even suggested that Zhang He surrender directly to avoid death. However, when Zhang He heard the advice of the judge, he became furious and shouted loudly a man should die on the battlefield, and his body should be wrapped in horse leather with his ears buried. How can there be any reason to surrender without a fight? After Zhang He said this, he sent an order to the army. After leaving the city, I wanted to fight Lu Feng and the 3,000 red-blooded dragon riders while they had not recovered their physical strength after a long journey, hoping to inflict maximum damage on Lu Feng. Seeing that Zhang He's persuasion was ineffective, Shen Pei tried to escape alone, but was discovered by Zhang He and was forcibly dragged to the battlefield. Seeing that Shen Pei was an important advisor to Yuan Shao, Zhang He wanted to escape. He was worried that all his soldiers would be defeated in one blow, so he imitated Xiang Yu's last-ditch attitude and ordered the army to set up the battlefield on the boundary bridge. Zhao Yun originally felt guilty for failing to complete the task of conquering Jizhu assigned to him by Lu Feng. When he saw Zhang He taking the initiative to attack, he asked Lu Feng for orders and led 3,000 white horse followers and 50,000 Yuzhu troops to fight alone. At this time, Zhao Yun's Bama Yakong and the Yuzhu army had already had high morale due to Lu Feng's arrival, and they were completely different from when they were blocked by Zhang He. Therefore, Zhao Yun is confident that he can defeat Zhang He in this decisive battle. In fact, this is exactly the case. Jaiqiao was the place where Gong Sun Zan was defeated and died. Fighting here deeply stimulated Bama Yakong's fighting spirit. Facing the Jizhu army, which was at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, morale, and strength, Bama Yakong showed no mercy. Even without Zhao Yun's command, they used the tactics they were most familiar with and launched round after round of shooting at the Jizhu army from a distance. Bama Yakong was only 100 steps away from the Jizhu army, but these 100 steps were filled by Bama Yakong's bows and arrows. Subsequently, Bai Mai rushed into the Jizhu army. After being shot by bows and arrows, the Jizhu army, which had no fighting spirit, showed symbolic resistance and surrendered directly. Zhao Yun also challenged Zhang He to a duel. Although Zhang He knew that he was no match for Zhao Yun, he no longer had any plans to escape at this time and fought desperately with Zhao Yun. However, the difference in strength between the two men was indeed too great. In less than 30 rounds, Zhang He was captured alive by Zhao Yun. Shen Pei panicked and tried to escape by jumping into the river, but was drowned by the strong current. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 247. As Zhang He was captured alive by Zhao Yun and Shen Pei fell into the river and died, the two generals lost their ability to command, so the Jizhu army naturally laid down their weapons and surrendered. Since Yuan Shao has moved all his forces to Sizhou, there is no official in Jizhu except Zhang He and Shen Pei and tens of thousands of troops. Therefore, with Zhang He captured, the entire Jizhu fell completely under Lu Feng's control. After the decisive battle on the boundary bridge, Lu Feng and Zhao Yun entered Zhongshan Kingdom to rest and deal with Jizhu affairs. Lu Feng temporarily designated Lunu, the seat of Zhongshan Kingdom, as a resting place for the army. During this period, Zhao Yun found Lu Feng and said to Lu Feng, "My lord, Zhang He, who I captured a few days ago, is indeed a talented man and has the style of a general. I hope my lord can save him from death and let him join our army." Lu Feng had long known that Zhang He was one of Cao's 5 good generals in history. To be reused by Cao, there must be something special about him. Moreover, during Zhuliang's northern expedition, Zhang He was one of the few Wei generals who could win against the Shu army. Even Zhuliang regarded him as the biggest obstacle to pacifying Wei. He could not even kill him in a normal battle. He could only remove him by luring him into an ambush. Therefore, Lu Feng had long been mentally prepared for Zhang He's talent, and since Zhang He could switch to Cao from Yuan Shao's formation in history, Lu Feng was confident that he was far more charming than Cao, and Zhang He would definitely be loyal to him. Therefore, Lu Feng had no intention of killing Zhang He, but had already made preparations to persuade him to surrender. But since Zhao Yun personally interceded for Zhang He, Lu Feng also wanted to know what Zhao Yun, who had personally fought against Zhang He, thought of Zhang He. So Lu Feng asked, "I didn't expect Zilong to have such high regard for Zhang He. So tell me, what is it about Zhang He that deserves your recommendation?" Zhao Yun obviously didn't know Lu Feng's intentions. He thought Lu Feng didn't know Zhang He's ability, so he explained to Lu Feng seriously. Yun thought that Zhang He was stronger than Yun in commanding troops to fight. First of all, except for the Xian Denshi led by Chu Yi, the rest of the Jizhu army was stronger than Gong Sun before. The white horse Yi Kong under the general is much weaker. After training in the Lord's Transfer Hall, the white horse Yi Kong is now comparable to the Dragon City cavalry. But facing the ordinary Jizhu soldiers led by Zhang He, they are still unable to easily defeated. In order to resist our army, Zhang He showed many different ways of using troops in the battle, and he was very good at using the terrain to design different tactics. Because of this, our army suffered a big loss. As the saying goes, soldiers' momentum is impermanent, taxes and water are irregular, and this is exactly what happened with the army led by Zhang He. In addition to his ability to lead troops, Zhang He's personal force is not weak either. Although he is not my opponent, he is definitely among the first-class generals. There are definitely not many people in the world who can defeat him in a single challenge. Lu Feng listened to Zhao Yun's analysis and kept nodding. When Zhao Yun finished speaking, Lu Feng said, "In this case, you will bring him here in person now." Wang Ziran tried his best to make him surrender. Zhao Yun responded and turned around to leave. Not long after, he brought Zhang He to Lu Feng. When Lu Feng saw that Zhang He and Zhao Yun had come in, without saying anything, he stood up and personally untied Zhang He. Not only did Zhang He not expect Lu Feng's courtesy, but even Zhao Yun was surprised. When Zhang He was released by Lu Feng, he thought to himself, "King Bingjian is so bold, isn't he afraid that I will hold him hostage and escape?" But as soon as he had this idea, Zhang He suddenly thought that Zhao Yun was behind him at this moment, and if he made any move, he would definitely take action immediately. And even if Zhao Yun doesn't take action, King Bingjian is the best general in the world today, and it's impossible for him to hold him hostage. However, since Lu Feng was able to personally untie himself, Zhang He had already guessed that he must want to persuade him to surrender. As Zhang He expected, after being untied, Lu Feng returned to his seat and asked the guards to prepare a seat for Zhang He, and asked Zhang He to sit down. Then Lu Feng said, I have long heard that Junyi is not only a famous general in Hebei, but also a rare all-round civil and military talent in the world. I wonder if Junyi is willing to join me and work with me to end this troubled world and save the world. Zhang He was not surprised by Lu Feng's persuasion to surrender. He said firmly, it is indeed an honor for me to be appreciated by King Bingjian. King Bingjian is a talented man who can be called the first person in the world. Not only is he powerful in force and has a far-sighted vision, but also his subordinates are like clouds of counselors, generals like rain, and the army is also invincible. What is even more valuable is that King Bingjian has a benevolent heart. Although he did not serve under King Bingjian, he knew very well that under King Bingjian, in his eyes, the lives and happiness of the people of the Han dynasty are more important than his own status. That's why King Bingjian hates the aliens who invaded the Han dynasty so much. Therefore, if he can serve for King Bingjian, he would naturally want it. But the only pity is that he at this time, it was not Bai Shen, but a general under Duke Yuan. And since there was a conflict between Duke Yuan and King Bingjian, and he was ordered by Duke Yuan to resist King Bingjian, how could he turn against him in the face of battle? Moreover, since ancient times, loyal ministers have never done anything to the two masters. If I meet King Bingjian first, I will naturally join your service without hesitation. But since he has met Duke Yuan first, I would like to ask the king to forgive he for not agreeing to the king. Please King Bingjian give he a happy life so that he can die. Mingzi. Lu Feng listened to Zhang He's words. Although he was deeply moved, he did not give up his determination to conquer Zhang He. He said to Zhang He, Junyi is really a loyal and courageous man. It's a pity that he followed the wrong master and was taken advantage of by a villain like Yuan Shao. He didn't even know he was harmed by him. After listening to Lu Feng's words, Zhang He said, he immediately stood up and said angrily, King He Jing Bingjian is the wise master of the world, so he is respectful and humble to the king. But if the king insults my lord in front of he, please don't blame he for being reckless. Even if he knows that he is not King Bingjian and brothers along. My opponent will have to fight to the death and ask the king for advice. Lu Feng saw Zhang He was angry, but he was not angry himself. He smiled at Zhang He and said, Junyi, please sit down and listen to what I have to say. Since Yuan Shao has decided moving west, the focus shifted to Salai and Yanzhou, and Jizhu was abandoned, but why did Junyi leave to guard Jizhu alone? Junyi, you can think about it for yourself. How is your status in Yuan Shao's army compared to Yan Liang and Wenzhou? Since he personally led troops to the west and sent Yan Liang to the south, he left you in Jizhu, which he had already given up. From the moment Yuan Shao left you, you were already an abandoned son. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 248. Zhang He was deeply shocked by Lu Feng's words. He said slowly, am I an abandoned son? Facing Zhang He, who was almost mentally broken, Lu Feng said mercilessly, that's right, Yuan Shao, whom you regard as your wise master and who is loyal to you with all your strength, has abandoned you. He was planning to go to Salai for development, but he was afraid that the king would pursue him after he quickly captured Jizhu. He was worried that he would not have enough time to conquer the Salai area. So he chose you, come here, resist this king for him, delay time, and give him a chance to enter Sizhu. The reason why he chose you is because he knows that you are loyal to him, and in terms of the ability of soldiers to fight, you can be said to be at the top of Yuan Shao's army. However, you are not his direct descendant, and your grasp of the situation is better than many other generals under Yuan Shao. Logically speaking, this should be your advantage. You can be reused by any other princes. But you just chose Yuan Shao was defeated by Yuan Shao, and Yuan Shao was jealous at home and broad-minded outside. You also showed a more strategic vision than him, and the more he felt that you had hurt his face. Therefore, your status in Yuan Shao's army was even lower than that of Yuan Shao. Go to brave and foolhardy men like Yan Liang and Wen Zhou. In Yuan Shao's heart, what he needs is not a highly capable handsome man like you, but a brave and invincible general like Yan Liang and Wen Zhou, but without much brains. Because only such a general can reflect his wisdom. That's why you have never been in Yuan Shao's inner circle. In order to have enough time this time, he even regarded you and Jizhu as abandoned sons. Zhang He listened to Lu Feng's words. I kept thinking about the details of Lu Feng's words in my mind, but found that I had no way to refute what he said. Lu Feng saw the expression on Zhang He's face gradually change from shock to calmness and anger, and knew that his words had achieved obvious results. So he continued, Junyi, you have done enough for Yuan Shao. He left you as an abandoned son, but you are undoubtedly very successful as an abandoned son. You used your excellent commanding skills to successfully block him. The dragon's army held back the king. During this period, Yan Liang's army had defeated Zhang Miao in Yanzhou. No one in Yanzhou was able to stop Yan Liang's army. It can be said that Yanzhou has become Yuan Shao's bag. Not only did Yan Liang's side make a significant breakthrough, but Yuan Shao himself also achieved great success. Now, under Zhe Xiao's plan, Yuan Shao has conquered Hanoi County and Hungnong County, occupying one-third of Sizhuan. Connect with Yanzhou to form a defense line that separates the north from the south. Now, as an abandoned son, you have completed your task very well. And since Yuan Shao has abandoned you, and you have been extremely kind to him, I believe it is time for you to think about your future and your future. You have excellent martial arts and troop leading abilities, and it is obviously not worth it to die for a lord like Yuan Shao who has abandoned you. Zhang He had already been convinced by Lu Feng's analysis. When he heard his sincere invitation, he no longer hesitated, stood up from his seat and prostrated himself on the ground. At the same time, he said loudly, the last general, Zhang He, is willing to worship the king of Bingjian as his lord. From now on, he will ride in the fire without hesitation. When Lu Feng saw Zhang He sincerely surrendering, he immediately helped him up and laughed. I have Junyi to help me, so why worry about the world being uncertain and great things failing? At this point, Qingzhou and Jizhu were completely controlled by Lu Feng, plus the original Yuzhu and the foreign states that Lu Feng personally conquered. The entire territory of the Han dynasty was the northeast has completely become Lu Feng's territory. Later, Lu Feng sent an order to Taishi Ci and Su Shu in Qingzhou, ordering them to lead their troops south to attack Suzhou. In order to develop to the south, Cao had just tried his best to conquer Suzhou. Naturally, he could not give up Suzhou easily. Therefore, when he attacked Yangzhou, he had already left Chen Yu in Suzhou to prepare to defend against Lu Feng's move south. And before leaving, 11's He and Chen Yu jointly formulated a battle plan to resist King Hu's attack. Although Su Shu is today's super strategist and has made great achievements in marching and fighting, 11's He is also a super strategist. He is also a classmate who has studied with him in Yingchuan for many years, and he has a good understanding of Su Shu's personality and tactics. In addition, Chen Yu is also a top strategist today, so the two of them jointly formulated a tailor-made plan for Su Shu, posing a great threat to Su Shu. Although Su Shu had many good strategies in his mind, he was still unable to break through Chen Yu's defense for a while. But even if Chen Yu can now resist Taishi Ci's attack, whether it is Cao, 11's He and Chen Yu, they all know that with Taishi Ci's bravery and Su Shu's plan, it will be difficult for Chen Yu alone resist their attack. Once time passes, Chen Yu will undoubtedly lose. At this time, Cao regretted it very much. Because before he evacuated Qingzhou and went to Suzhou and Yangzhou to develop, Chen Yu had persuaded Cao to kill Su Shu. If he had adopted it at that time, there would be no current danger. Because Chen Yu had long expected that since Su Shu's thoughts were not with Cao, he would rebel sooner or later. And with his talent, once he rebelled, it would inevitably cause great losses. Therefore, Chen Yu suggested that Cao get rid of Su Shu before moving south. Even if he didn't get rid of him, he should take him with him to prevent him from causing trouble behind his back. However, after all, Cao still loved talents and could not bear to kill a super counselor like Su Shu directly. However, he was worried that Yang Zhou was still uncertain and he would not be able to monitor him all the time with Su Shu by his side, so he did not agree with Chen Yu's opinion. Cao originally planned to wait until the situation in Yangzhou stabilized before escorting Su Shu over, but he didn't expect Lu Feng to conquer him before him. However, now that things have happened, it is useless for Cao to regret it, so he can only ask 11's He for advice. 11's He thought for a long time and finally said, in the current situation, even if we temporarily block or even defeat the army of Taishi Ci and Su Shu, it will only relieve the temporary crisis. Since Lu Feng intends to attack Suzhu, we must find a way to attack Suzhu, essentially solve this matter. However, judging from the current situation, our army cannot be Lu Feng's opponent at all. Even in the whole world, no prince can face Lu Feng and win alone. Therefore, the best way is to unite with the princes, form a defense line against Lu Feng's army. The people who form an alliance must not only have sufficient strength, but also be in a suitable position. Therefore, judging from the current situation, the most suitable people are undoubtedly Lu Buletin and Yuan Shao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 249. After listening to 11's He's words, Cao felt that this plan was indeed feasible. He said, Lu Buletin and Yuan Shao, it would be really good if we could form an alliance with them. One of these two people is extremely powerful, and Bing Zhou is also a rare elite in the world. The famous family has many soldiers and generals. With them working together to resist Lu Feng, great things can be expected. 11's He said with a smile, forging an alliance with them is not only based on their ability and military strength, but more importantly, their geographical location. Now Lu Buletin occupies 1/3 of the Salai, plus his original Bingzhou, which just blocks King Bingjian's westward route. And Yuan Shao also occupies 1/3 of the Salai, plus his we just captured Yanzhou from Zhangmiao, which blocked Lu Feng's route to the southwest. In addition, Suzhu in our hands just blocked his route to the south. Once our three forces unite, we can form a perfect. The protective line made King Bingjian's forces completely unable to move south or west, trapping him in the northeast. Even this protective line could not lasted too long, but it was enough to hold back King Bingjing's march southward and westward, allowing us to gain enough time for development. And once this protective line is formed, it will not only be us who will benefit, but both Lu Buletin and Yuan Shao will be able to gain more time to develop their respective forces. Yuan Shao has men of unparalleled intelligence such as Zhu Su and Tian Feng, and Lu Buletin also has Chen Gong to help him. I believe they can both understand the benefits of forming an alliance. So forming this line of defense is not a problem. After hearing 11's He's analysis, Cao no longer hesitated and sent Sun Yu directly to the Salai area to meet Yuan Shao and Lu Buletin and promote an alliance. Sun Yu took the order and left. On the way, he kept thinking about how to persuade Lu Buletin and Yuan Shao, so that they can willingly form an alliance and obtain the greatest benefits for Cao. Through constant thinking, Sun Yu thought that Lu Buletin was far away in Bingzhou before, and did not have much interaction with King Bingjian, and so far there has been no positive conflict. Therefore, from Lu Buletin's perspective, he may not have thought of the benefits of forming an alliance. But Yuan Shao was different. The war between him and King Bingjian was earlier than Cao. When the princes allied to attack Dongzhou, Yuan Shao was Lu Feng usurped his position as leader and was very dissatisfied with Lu Feng. Later, Yuan Shao clashed with Gong Sunzan and a war broke out. After several months of fighting, Yuan Shao lost a large number of troops and finally killed Gong Sunzan. But the final result was he was snatched away by Lu Feng. Not only did he not get Gong Sunzan's territory in Yuzhou from Yubei, but he also did not surrender Gong Sunzan's troops. It can be said that Yuan Shao lost his troops and lost his generals, but in the end he made Lu Feng's wedding dress. Even so, Lu Feng was not only ungrateful, but also ordered Zhao Yun to attack Jizhu under the banner of revenge for Gong Sunzan. Moreover, Zhao Yun, with the assistance of Dian Wei and Long Wuzu, advanced all the way, forcing Yuan Shao to withdraw from Jizhu and go to Jizhu instead, just like Cao did. Sizhu developed. So far, the entire Jizhu has become Lu Feng's territory. Yuan Shao must have hated Lu Feng in his heart. So Sun Yu decided to go to Hanoi County first to persuade Yuan Shao to form an alliance with him. If Yuan Shao has agreed to form an alliance, here basically, if he tried to persuade Lu Buletin, the possibility of success would obviously be greater. So Sun Yu rushed all the way to Hanoi, and went to the prefect's mansion to meet Yuan Shao. Yuan Shao and Sun Yu had known each other for a long time. When Emperor Ling of the Han Dynasty set up the new army in Ziwan, Yuan Shao served as the lieutenant of the Central Military Academy in the court, and Sun Yu served as the Huangman minister under He Jin at that time. In addition, Sun Yu was a descendant of the Sun family in Yingchuan, and his reputation was very famous among the aristocratic families in the world. Therefore, Yuan Shao learned about his old friend when Sun Yu came to visit. He went to the door to greet him personally. At the same time, he knew that Sun Yu had already defected to Cao, and he must have another purpose for coming here. So while welcoming Sun Yu, Yuan Shao ordered people to go and invite Jushu to avoid Sun Yu making any requests. He couldn't make up his mind. Not long after Sun Yu sat down, Zhu Shao hurried over, and Yuan Shao introduced each other to the two. Since time was tight, Sun Yu didn't say anything else and went straight to the topic. He said to Yuan Shao, now the side-by-side King Lu Feng has already becoming the undisputed strongest prince in the world. I believe that no matter which force fights against him alone, he will not be his opponent. And Duke Yuan and my lord Cao can be said to be his strongest enemies. Facing King Pingjian, we lost more than we won. Even we were beaten by him and abandoned our original nest, and had to find new states and counties for development. Now King Bingjian has controlled the 3 states of Yuzhou, Qingzhou, and Jizhou, and his power is even stronger. But these 3 places are all in the northeast. Now in order to defeat the king of side-by-side, or to temporarily block him from continuing to move south or west, my lord has come up with a strategy to combine vertical and horizontal forces. Now Lu Buletin occupies Bingzhou and 1/3 of the Salai, and Yuan Shao occupies Yanzhou and 1/3 of the Salai. Together with my lord Sizhu, they can form a line of defense to block King Bingjian in the northeast. This way we all get enough development time. As long as we have time, we will be able to gain a firm foothold in this world and have the confidence to counterattack and stand shoulder to shoulder. I wonder what Mr. Yuan thinks about this. When Yuan Shao heard Sun Yu's plan, he immediately felt that it was very feasible, but he still looked at Zhu Shao and asked for the opinion of his own military advisor. Zhu Shao was obviously very optimistic about the strategy of Yuan, Cao, and Lu families forming an alliance to jointly resist King Bingjian, so he nodded to Yuan Shao. When Yuan Shao saw this, he no longer hesitated and said to Sun Yu, Gongda's plan is very clever. If it can be successful, it will benefit all 3 of us. Regardless of whether Lu Buletin agrees or not, I, Yuan Shao, agree to form an alliance with Mend. Seeing this, Sun Yu thanked Yuan Shao and reached an agreement to jointly resist Lu Feng's offensive and defensive alliance. So he didn't stay any longer and went directly to Hedong County to lobby Lu Buletin. Lu Buletin originally believed that he and Lu Feng had no grievances, so he didn't want to help Cao and Yuan Shao fight against Lu Feng and involve himself in the battle between the three major princes. However, Chen Gong arrived in time and firmly persuaded Lu Buletin with the truth of the matter. In the end, Lu Buletin had no choice but to agree to the alliance. Now that the alliance has been, it was decided that Suzhu was in danger at this time under the attack of Taishi Ci and Su Shu. So as allies, Yuan Shao and Lu Buletin immediately sent an army to rescue Cao Suzhu. Among them, Yuan Shao sent General Yan Liang to lead an army to Suzhu to join forces with Chen Yu's Suzhu. The army jointly resisted Taishi Ci and Su Shu. At the same time, Lu Buletin ordered Zhang Liao to lead 30,000 Bingzhou troops to attack Daijun in Yuzhu. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 250. With Yan Liang leading his troops to Suzhu for support, Chen Yu immediately stabilized the current situation. Originally, the reason why Chen Yu was in danger under the attack of Taishi Ci and Su Shu was not that he was weak in ability. The main reason was that in order to capture Yangzhou as soon as possible, Cao took away some of his troops, resulting in a shortage of manpower that Chen Yu could command. In addition, Chen Yu had no generals who could resist Taishi Ci. Taishi Ci has reached the pinnacle level of the first class after training in the transfer hall. Under his leadership, the Qingzhou army is almost unstoppable. As for strategy, although Chen Yu is not as good as Su Shu, the difference is not much. In addition to 11's Heike's previous plan, it is not enough to affect the situation. The arrival of Yan Liang just made up for the two disadvantages Chen Yu lacked. The first is the lack of top combat power. Since Yan Liang is already a super general, even more powerful than Taishi Ci, he can completely withstand Taishi Ci's attack. Even if Taishi Ci's horse was not faster than Yan Liang's horse, and Taishi Ci used bows and arrows to intimidate him during the retreat, Yan Liang would have completely killed Taishi Ci. Under the joint resistance of the Yanzhou army and the Suzhu army, even though the Qingzhou army was powerful, Taishi Ci was both civil and military, and Su Shu was resourceful. It was difficult to gain an advantage, and the southern expedition was temporarily shelved. The war in the southern expedition was not going well, and warnings of danger came from his hometown in Yuzhu in the north. Zhang Liao's 30,000 Bingzhou army had already reached Daijun. Lu Feng had no choice but to order Zhao Yun to lead his troops back to Yuzhu to support the defenders of Dai County in resisting Zhang Liao's army. As soon as Zhao Yun left with his army, Yuan Shao hoarded a large number of troops at the border between Hanoi County and Jizhu, seemingly ready to attack Jizhu at any opportunity. At this time, Lu Feng truly realized his crisis. The successive conquests of Jizhu and Qingzhou not only completely offended Yuan Shao and Cao, but Yuan Shao and Cao had been running Jizhu and Qingzhou for a long time, and their power could not be pulled out all at once. Nowadays, the people in Qingzhou and Jizhu are unstable, and Lu Feng's foundation is not strong, so he is obviously not suitable to continue fighting. Moreover, the three major princes, Lu Buletin, Cao, and Yuan Shao, joined forces and launched attacks from three different directions, which completely divided Lu Feng's forces. At this time, Lu Feng's men were short of manpower, and even if he wanted to continue the conquest, there were no soldiers available. Therefore, Lu Feng decided to temporarily stop external expansion and take this opportunity to develop Jizhu, Yuzhu, Qingzhou, and Yizhu that were already under his control. But when he thought that he already had 4 states, Lu Feng deeply felt the lack of talents under his command. Although he has a super strategist like Guojia under his command, and he has just conquered another super strategist Su Shu, just the two of them are obviously not enough. At present, Su Shu has just surrendered, and his task is only to conquer Cao, but now the defense plan jointly formulated by Chen Yu and 11's He Ke is quite effective. Moreover, Yuan Shao also dispatched General Yan Liang from Yanzhou to Suzhou to assist Chen Yu in the defense. As a result, Su Shu was now blocked from Suzhou and found it difficult to advance, making it difficult to achieve results in a short period of time. As for Guo Jie, he can be said to be the best among the super counselors in the world today. His strategic judgment is almost unparalleled. However, unfortunately, due to the lack of internal affairs talents, Guo Jie can only stay in Yuzhou and manage tri-state government affairs. Therefore, even since he surrendered to Lu Feng, he had never left Liaodong except for one trip to Gongsunzan as an envoy, forcing Gongsunzan to kill Lu Yu. Because of this, no one is following him to advise him. Look at 11's He Ke, who Cao keeps with him all day long, and Yuan Shao's Zhu Shao and Tian Feng. They are both top strategists who are rare in the world, and all of them can serve as military advisors with the army. If someone can take over Guo Jie's current position and handle the government affairs of the three states, Guo Jie will be free to concentrate on dealing with the situation in the world. He can then make the most appropriate judgment for Lu Feng at the most appropriate time. This is not only Lu Feng's trouble, but also Guo Jie's trouble. Although handling the trivial matter of government affairs in the three states is not difficult for the smart and talented Guo Jie, after all, this is not his area of a euro expertise. What Guo Jie is better at and is more willing to do is to follow Lu Feng's army to fight everywhere, advise Lu Feng and solve various problems in marching operations. Now, he not only has to handle the three-state government affairs on time, but also has to distract Lu Feng to carefully deal with the plans of super strategists such as 11's He Ke. At the same time, he also has to deal with various information sent back by Longcheng newspaper every day. Such multitasking has long since exhausted him both physically and mentally. Therefore, when Lu Feng expressed his desire to find a counselor to share Guo Jie's tasks so that he could join the army and make suggestions for the army, Guo Jie immediately thought of someone. His best friend in Yingchuan Academia Sun Yu. In order for Sun Yu to join Lu Feng's command, Guo Jie personally wrote a letter and gave it to the Red Blood Dragon rider, who then rode a golden eagle to Yingchuan Academy and handed it over to Sun Yu. Guo Jie wrote in the letter, "My friend Wenruo, we have been separated for many years. I wonder if everything is okay when I come back. I am in Liaodong, helping Wang Nan conquer the north, wipe out the foreign tribes, and destroy Dongzhou, for the sake of the Han dynasty and the people of the Han dynasty. I did everything I could. I know that King Bingjian used us and other scribes to get rid of the Liaodong family, which made you angry at being treated as a pawn, so you abandoned King Bingjian, whom you had admired for a long time. But it turns out that Liaodong, if the aristocratic family is not eliminated, King Bingjian's development in Liaodong will be hindered everywhere, and naturally he will not be able to kill the Dong thieves and destroy Goguryeo and other foreign races as he is now. Everything King Bingjian has done is to end the troubled times as soon as possible and bring peace to the world. The people of the world can live a good life." At the poetry meeting that day, you also saw with your own eyes how happy the lives of the people of Longcheng are. Now King Bingjian is working hard to make all the people of the world as happy as the people of Longcheng. I know you are wholehearted. Towards the Han dynasty, towards orthodoxy, it has been your duty to help the Han dynasty since you were a child. So now that the Emperor of Han has passed away, you are disheartened and no longer serve as an official. But King Bingjian is also a clan member of the Han dynasty, and he was personally named by the late emperor. King Bingjian, he can represent the Ling Emperor. And Wenruo should not forget that although the emperor is gone now, the Han royal family still retains the only bloodline, and this bloodline is in Yuzhou. Therefore, if you want to do something for the Han dynasty and the royal bloodline, you should come to Yuzhou and protect the only bloodline of the royal family with Xie.